Abraham oder wieder Robert Stieglitz. Die Entscheidung fällt jetzt live aus der GETEC Arena in Magdeburg.
Okay, gentlemen, I want a good, clean fight. Protect yourself at all times. Obey my commands at all times. Good luck to both of you. Touch them up.
Good ref, Mike Ortega. Sometimes with big fights, styles just don't gel. First time around, it could hardly have been better. This time, I think we're going to see more of the same. As for the result, will it be repeat or will it be revenge? Abraham, the betting favourite, the crowd favourite here, Robert Stieglitz, 12 rounds, the WBO super middleweight title at stake. And Stieglitz starting fast. You can see that physically, slightly the bigger man. He's taller, he's got a reach advantage, but those shoulders of Abraham, the power that he packs. The first time around, for so many of the rounds, the punches that Stieglitz threw, and an awful lot of them, just seemed to bounce off Abraham. And when he threw with real hurtful intent.
Well, that's the thing you can't factor in with that. Abraham, he can absorb so much, can he, and then come firing back. He takes more than what most fighters can, and sometimes you wear yourself out just trying to make a dent in his impeccable defence.
Abraham fights in spurts, we know that. He'll be prepared to stand and to absorb it, as Barry's intimated, and then when he gets the opportunity, really unload. Stieglitz, though, as ever, will be absolutely super fit for this one. The question is how he reacts when Abraham lands, as he surely will, and whether or not his slightly fragile skin holds up.
Yeah, and I think it's going to come down to, like it did the last fight, you go for quality over quantity, isn't it? Because all the quantity is going to come from Stieglitz, and I guess all the quality will come from Abraham.
Two good headshots from Abraham, accurately delivered. 6 times Stieglitz successfully defended the WBO belt in the time that he held it between 2009 and 2012. The losses on his record against Abraham, Librado Andrade and Alejandro Berrio going back to 2007.
He's made a bright start, hasn't he, Stieglitz, on the front foot straight away, throwing lots of shots.
Yeah, he's looking good. He sort of kind of surrendered the initiative in the early stages the first time they fought. It was, I think Abraham shocked a few people that he came out of the traps so quickly.
Yeah, it was a big shot, wasn't it? You expect him to do what he's doing now, really, wouldn't you? Soak a lot up and look to fire back in the last half of the round.
Well, if it throws, or rather goes according to pattern, this is about the stage where you expect Abraham to start to try and unload with those trademark big hooks. Stieglitz doing well, though, in this opening round. Good right hand, and then tying his man up, not giving him the opportunity to counter. Listen to the support that Stieglitz is getting. It is huge.
A good right hand there from Stieglitz. To be fair to Abraham, he's blocking a lot of these shots, but a few are getting through. But I think those 3 straight shots that Stieglitz was throwing, I think that's a good success for him. Just three down the pipe.
Apart from those 2 headshots, there's been precious little from Abraham in this opening round. This has surely been a Stieglitz round. It's got to have been.
Well, you're right. He's the only one who's really throwing any punches at all, isn't he? But that's a good, positive start for Stieglitz.
The great and the good gathered at ringside. One of the best German champions of them all.
Die ist total weg. Ja, warum?
Uli Wegner,
Hau doch dazwischen.
trainer of Arthur Abraham.
Mein Junge. Du musst gehen, du kannst ihn nicht kommen lassen.
Hugely
Du musst
experienced.
gegenhauen. Gib mal hier, einmal her.
A sort of voice which commands respect.
Arthur.
Yeah, without a doubt, you know, everyone in Germany has respect for what he says. When he opens his mouth, people listen.
Du musst die zweite Runde unbedingt kriegen, sonst läufst du das nur nach, mein Junge.
Arthur Abraham was middleweight champion for 4 years, better part of. IBF middleweight champion from 2005 to 2009. 10 defences. And then, as you've heard, the sort of uncertain progress in the Super 6. I remember commentating on the early stages of that one, and a lot of people thought that Abraham was just going to blitz his way through and take everything before him. Well, it didn't work out that way. And Andre Durrell, Carl Froch, Andre Ward all worked out the blueprint of how to beat him. Good start though from Stieglitz. George Groves at ringside keeping a very close watch on this one. And Adam Booth, of course, a great analyst of boxing styles. He'll be keeping a very close watch on both these guys. The work rate and the speed of Stieglitz and the power of Abraham.
You guessed they'd want Abraham to win, wouldn't you? I think it's the bigger name for them, the bigger draw, and I think, to be honest, for George Groves' style would probably suit him better to box someone like Abraham.
Stieglitz has started at a very fast pace. He's asking a lot of himself to try and maintain this sort of momentum through 12 rounds. In and out, that's got to be the blueprint. Gloves held high by Abraham, managing to block and parry a lot of those shots.
But they're sharp punches, isn't they? They're not just arm punches, he's putting some weight behind those shots.
There'll be the old Rocky maxim at some stage. It's not so much how much you dish out, it's how well you can take it, and you can guarantee surely that Abraham is going to start unloading at some point. Referee Mike Ortega pulling up Stieglitz for use of the head.
Yeah, it was a blatant fall when he just running with his head down, didn't he? So let's see Stieglitz when he throws a combination to take a step to the right, just to open up the body for the left hook.
Oh, punches around the back, one in the kidneys, one round the back of the head. Referee lets it go, and already, only in the second round, it's really warming up. Not exactly on each other's Christmas card list, these two guys.
Something else, isn't it? We were waiting for an assault, weren't we, from Abraham, and there it was. A few heavy shots, good right hook as well.
Stieglitz seems to have it in his head. Get in there and match the intimidator. Don't let him physically, psychologically be the boss.
I think it's the right idea, maybe throwing lots of shots, getting on the front foot against Abraham. You have to work in a semicircle around him. Can't just stand in front of him after you're throwing your shots, but when he comes firing back, you're in trouble.
Oh, good shot. Nice right hand from Stieglitz. And Abraham this time is absolutely forced to cover up, bobbing and weaving, and look at him holding on.
Don't see that very often, John.
This has been a tremendous start from Stieglitz, and the left eye looks as though it's gone. That right hand has caused real damage to the eye of Abraham, and it's starting to close. This lightning start of Stieglitz has reaped dividends, and look at Abraham as he unsteadily goes back to his corner. A brilliant start from the home fighter, Robert Stieglitz.
Well, nobody expected that there. It was a crunching right hand. You usually expect Abraham to soak those up all day long, but he looked visibly shaken, and his left eyes closed rapidly.
Somebody said, would he be gun shy? Forget it. Look at that guy, talking about eye of the tiger.
Oh, something else, that, wasn't it? And we expect him to start fast, but not as positive as that, and Abraham now's got it all to do. He was hurt by that, John. The one with the eye closing, that rocked him to the soles of his boots.
His left eye is giving him trouble. The swelling over the top of it. Look at that. Look at that, Barry. That's going to be a problem. He ain't going to be seeing through that eye soon.
He's going to have to go for broke now, I think.
He's an angry guy. Remember against Edison Miranda back in 2006, he fought, what was it, 7, 8, 9 rounds with a broken jaw. So merely being unable to see through the left eye might be something which he can live with relatively easily. But he is really having to soak up a withering onslaught here from Stieglitz. This is tremendous. Superb attack.
Sorry, John, he can't see the shots coming.
I don't think he's seeing too much from that left-hand side. Blinking uncomfortably. And Stieglitz is making this at this stage absolutely one-way traffic. Abraham has to ride out the storm. What a start from Stieglitz, takes your breath away.
Something else, and even though Abraham's fought with a broken jaw before and prevailed, he's not the young ambitious fighter as he once was, is he?
Well, that was 26. He was only 26 then, now he's 33. Stieglitz has gone in there and looked like the power puncher here. George Groves sitting at ringside hoping to get the winner here. I did kind of whisper beforehand, what about the rubber match? Well, he'd want to see a bit more from Abraham before that'd be a viable possibility. At the moment, he is being steamrolled.
Well, the way that eye's closing, John, it looks painful as well. He needs to throw back Abraham. I think the referee might step in.
Well, you could see when the ice pack was being applied at the end of that third round, he almost turned to one of his cornermen, as much as to say, you give me any more of that, you're going to get one.
Under pressure here, but like you say, we can't count this man out. He's as tough as they come.
Well, he is absolutely as tough as old boots, Arthur Abraham, and he has a huge pride as a fighter, and now at last he starts to find a few punches of his own. Punches round the back of the head again. Stieglitz won't care about that.
Well, Stieglitz should take his time with it, can't he? No, not taking too many chances.
Mike Ortega ticking Abraham off for those punches round the back of the head, saying it's the second time that he's warned him. Well, he's taken a point. He's taken a point from Abraham for punches around the back of the head, and he can't say he wasn't warned. He's looking a little bit sorry for himself. Apparently, one of our leading box odds makers, William Hills, were offering 14-1 Stieglitz for knockout or TKO. And what a start he's had. And Arthur Abraham looks back at Stieglitz in the corner as much as to think, what on earth have I got here?
And something else, isn't it? Michael Hook will be enjoying this, will he? This is straight out of his handbook.
Well, he's Arthur Abraham's mate. I think he'd need to be in there to be fighting with him to keep Stieglitz off right now.
But look at that, Abraham. He fought back right at the end of that round, didn't he? But he's in a lot of pressure now, and it's a 10-8 round with the point taken away.
Well, now, Card, Abraham already 4 points down, and we've only had 3 rounds. Stieglitz has come out of the blocks just with astonishing speed, accuracy, and he's hurt Abraham. Don't often see Uli Wegner as animated as that, and Stieglitz playing the psychological game. He's off there. That's Stieglitz's wife. She'll be happy with the way things are going right now.
Oh, he'll be over the moon there. It's just a dream start for Stieglitz. And I think he can take his time a bit now. The fact that Abraham can't see out of that eye.
Well, now what have we here? He's telling Uli Wegner, get out of there. Surely they're not going to pull him out, are they? I don't think he can see through that left eye though, Barry.
And they have to make a choice whether to get out or...
It's all over, I think. The fight's all over. The fight is finished. Here after the third round, Arthur Abraham has been retired. An extraordinary upset. The 14-1 shot has come in. Robert Stieglitz has got the stoppage. Abraham just doesn't know what's hit him. Tonight, he's been blitzed. He doesn't like the fact he's been pulled out, but he couldn't see through that left eye. It was a punch that did it. The Saarlands are astonished at what's happened, and Robert Stieglitz has tonight been absolutely brilliant.
You'd never ever, of all the possible outcomes, you never would have picked that with an early stopper for Stieglitz. But Abraham's eye is totally closed, and I think it's the right decision by his trainer. I think the Saarlands are having a little bit of an argument in the corner. But look at that, John.
There can be no argument. There's no argument at all. He's blinded out of that eye. They had no option than to do that, but it was a punch that did it, and we spotted it when it came. The moment it landed, the eye had gone.
It was a cracking right hand, and it shook Abraham up more than just closed his eye. And a really good, well-delivered shot by Stieglitz, and what a win. Oof.
Well, it's been a slow burner, this promotion, but we've got to the main event, and what a story. Look what it means to them. Just look how much it means to this guy. He said that he'd lent Abraham the title, that he was going to get it back, and he just blitzed him.
something else. Look at that eye. That's in a really bad state.
Nobody has done that to Arthur Abraham.
You wouldn't think that was you. That was just a sensational performance by Stieglitz, and that puts him right in the mix now, John, with all those other big champions around his weight.
Well, he has made himself big news now. There's Froch versus Kessler coming up. There's Andre Ward returning. Robert Stieglitz is going to say, I've made a statement here.
Well, he did what those guys couldn't do, didn't he, John?
Heads came in. It wasn't the head that did it, though, no way. I know that they're trying to highlight this here and trying to point out that there were heads involved. It wasn't the head that did that. I'm absolutely certain of that.
No, it was a right hand, most definitely. A well-delivered shot. The right decision by the corner, though, to pull him out.
Well, Uli Wegner, you've got to give him credit for that. I think he's the one who took that decision. Abraham would have kept on fighting, but the corner man rightly said, no, that's enough. Well, Robert Stieglitz, born in Russia at the age of 31, supposed to be not a big puncher, went in there and absolutely did a number on one of the real hard men of boxing, based in Magdeburg, and the crowd, you can hear them chanting and singing. They just absolutely love him.
Well, it's the biggest win of his career by far, isn't it, by a million miles, and now you would tend to think you will get a big fight now. Obviously our own George Groves, you might have to go through him first, but you think he's in the mix now with Carl Froch, Michael Kessler and Andre Ward for the big money fights.
That is a massive upset. 9-2 on Arthur Abraham was, and Stieglitz, they say he was a light puncher. Arthur Abraham will tell you otherwise. I don't think he could quite believe it. Took him by surprise, didn't it? The way in which he came out. From word go, he was the boss. He was the macho man in there.
Well, he came out really positive and he threw lots of shots. You knew he had to throw lots of shots to beat Abraham, because it was, as I said, it was quality over quantity. But to take the centre of the ring and try and push Abraham back was a big shock. But you always expected a comeback from Abraham, and I think we would have seen that. It wasn't for the eye getting closed, but Stieglitz on the outcome, it was the perfect tactic. But that looks like plastic surgery sort of thing, doesn't it, that eye?
That is a mess. Wonder whether the socket has been fractured there. It really is so bad. Well, here we come. And this is what we didn't expect to hear. This will be music to the ears of Robert Stieglitz.
Das offizielle Urteil. Referee Mike Ortega aus Connecticut, USA, stoppt den Kampf zu Beginn von Runde 4 nach Beratung mit dem Ringarzt Walter Wagner. Und das Urteil: TKO-Sieg und damit neuer WBO-Weltmeister im Supermittelgewicht, der Athlet aus Magdeburg, Robert Stieglitz.
Retired at the end of the third round. Goes down as a TKO for Robert Stieglitz, the new champion. You know, when we were talking about this one last year, I remember as saying, Barry, that we thought Stieglitz would be a harder fight for George Groves than Arthur Abraham. Certainly think so now.
Yeah, I did also, because of the movement.